This is why I said you should take a picture with them.
They take it? Yeah, they're reserved.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would now like to begin our ceremony. Please stand if you are able for the presentation of the flags, followed by the singing of the national anthem by Officer Marcus Levy of the Southern State Correctional Facility.
Hey, sharp!
What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order. Order. Halt. Detail. Face. Forward. March. Detail. Hot. Eddie. Face. Ready. Step. Post. Compass. Ready. Two. Detail. Step. Quarter. Turn. Breathe. Up. Order. Up. Detail. Face. Forward. March. Forward. March. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present the Vermont Corrections Honor Guard. Please take your seats.
Group, take seats.
Good morning. My name is Nick Fortier. I am the Deputy Director of the Office of Professional Standards and Compliance, and I would like to welcome you all to the 182nd Vermont Correctional Academy graduation. I want to thank you all for coming and showing your support to today's graduates. I'd first like to introduce the panel seated on the stage at this time. Commissioner Nick Demmel, Deputy Commissioner Kristen Calver, and Director Travis Denton. Today culminates 6 weeks of training for these 33 new corrections professionals. Through the last 6 weeks, they've been challenged academically, physically, and intellectually. The Vermont Correctional Academy is an intensive 6-week course which tests individuals through a mixture of classroom instruction, practical exercise, and intensive social interaction. Today, these new officers stand ready to not only join the ranks of the Vermont Department of Corrections family, but to serve the citizens of Vermont. Today could not have been possible without the selfless service of the superintendents, managers, and staff who made today possible. Through their efforts, these new officers are prepared to begin their new careers with the Department of Corrections. I would like to thank the trainers, administrators, and other support staff that dedicated their time to making today a reality. There have been many achievements in the past 6 weeks for these new officers. While these achievements are defined in their various ways, we would like to recognize some of these achievements by presenting a few awards. The first award is the Outstanding Leadership Award. The recipient of this award is nominated by their peers for displaying outstanding leadership and professionalism during the Academy. The recipient of the 182nd Outstanding Leadership Award is Kimberly Houck of the Southern State Correctional Facility. The next award is the Class Valedictorian Award. The Class Valedictorian Award is awarded to the graduate who had the highest GPA over 6 weeks of training. With a GPA of 99.2, the 182nd Class Valedictorian is Cody Rich of the Chittenden Regional Correctional Facility. final award is the Class Speaker Award. To represent the 182nd Vermont Correctional Academy with a speech, the 182nd Class Speaker is Marcel Wilkinson of the Northwest State Correctional Facility.
Honored guests, family members, friends, loved ones, colleagues, I bid you all a pleasant morning. I stand here this morning before you as one of 33 success stories out of the Vermont Academy Corrections, batch 182. We made it. This story, there's a story that has been told of a man by the name of Sisyphus. He lived a bold life, challenging authority, asking hard questions, refusing to follow the easy path. The gods one day decided to punish him for his defiance. So they sentenced him to an eternity of pushing a heavy boulder up a hill. But every time he would make it to the top of the hill, this boulder would slip from his hands and roll to the bottom. To many, this sounded like a curse, but to Sisyphus, he made a choice. If he was going to push that boulder forever, he would own the climb. He would find meaning in this seemingly endless motion. Today, I stand before you with the absolute pleasure to speak to you for the next 15 minutes or so about dignity in the struggle. Ladies and gentlemen, my colleagues and I would have devised a formula on the first day of the first week on a cold, snowy Monday morning on March 10th, a formula which we since would have adopted as our core values, which coincidentally are my speaking points. They are consistency, integrity, and colleagues, if you could help me with the last one, it is respect. There we go. While the group has had its ups and downs, we have been able to find consistency in a work field that is relatively inconsistent. A field where we would have been tasked to supervise individuals who have made a wrong turn here or there in their lives. All of us today are first responders, report writers, rapport builders, CPR certified pepper spray wielding professional correctional officers. We never know what we'll be walking into on our shifts. But if we haven't learned anything from Brian and Stephanie, we would have learned that at all times we ought to be firm, fair, and consistent. To relate to the story, Sisyphus bent his back every day and gripped the cold stone and climbed. The sun burned him, but he climbed. The wind howled, but he climbed. His legs, they hurt, but he climbed still. And every single time that he made it to the top of this hill, it slipped from his hands and it rolled back to the bottom. But Sisyphus, he didn't throw his hands up in frustration. He didn't cry from the pressure. He did not give up. Rather, he walked back down and picked it up again and again, because he knew that effort is not meaningless whenever it shapes who you are. With each step, he gained strength. Each failure taught him grace. We have unfortunately lost a few of our colleagues along the way, but that never deterred us from moving forward. The stones we all carried varied, but they still made us stronger. For some of us, the stones were CPR first aid week. For some, it was ACT week. For some, it was fire safety. And please don't get me started on non-lethal use of force week. But we all would have made it through, thanks to the clear and precise instructions given to us from our instructors and the dedication of our peers, especially Houck, Meyer, and McGuinness, who would have ensured that we have all that we need for the necessary success. I personally would have watched and seen growth that we all would have made through our 6 weeks here at the Academy. We all rallied together for CPR week. We clung to each other, siphoning the strength of each other for ACT week. And we rolled with those punches on non-lethal use of force week. We learned skills here that are not only applicable to our lives in the facilities, but also in our daily lives. We found strength we never knew that we had. And through it all, we maintained our integrity. Integrity, defined by Merriam-Webster dictionary, is firm adherence to a code of especially moral or artistic values. We strive to uphold the principles that were being instilled in us by our instructors. And even if we strayed, we came back to our basic stance. Looking back at Sisyphus, he no longer saw the stone as punishment, but he now saw it as his purpose, and that is what made him powerful. Not because he conquered the mountain, but because he did not allow this mountain to conquer him. A French-Algerian philosopher by the name of Albert Camus once said, "One must imagine Sisyphus happy, not because he changed the task, but because he changed. He himself changed, and he owned his story." Today we stand at the top of one hill. The boulder may roll again tomorrow, but we know that we have what it takes to complete the climb again and again if we must. Sisyphus may well be remembered as the man who was condemned to push a boulder up a hill for eternity. But in his struggle, we find qualities that we all possess and are able to relate to. Something human, something that deserves nothing but respect. His effort was never rewarded, it was never praised, but with perseverance, he excelled. And please note that this wasn't because he expected a different result, but because he made a choice to embrace his struggle with dignity. And dare I stand here today and say with my whole chest that this reflects our journey to graduation. The nights spent studying, the quiet sacrifices, the moments we questioned our strength. The respect that I would have gained for my fellow colleagues is one so great that I can barely put into words. When I would have watched the effort, sacrifices you all would have made just to make this segment of your dreams become a reality. Sacrifices I sometimes try to internalize and realize that the strength you possess is not for that of mere mortals, but much like Sisyphus, we kept pushing, we kept fighting, we kept growing, we kept evolving, and we remained dignified in our struggle. Families, friends, colleagues, graduation is not the end of our struggle. Rather, it is the moment we realize that we are capable. This life isn't about escaping our struggles, escaping the struggles that we face, but rather pushing through and fighting, becoming stronger, gaining more experience, becoming a more rounded individual, and showing the world that even though we struggle, we still have dignity. I thank you.
like to introduce the Commissioner of Corrections, Nick Demmel.
Good morning. Quiet here today, huh? There's coffee. Okay. So you'll have to forgive me. This is my first time speaking in public, and so if I come across as a bit nervous, I hope you'll bear with me. Okay, somebody thought that was funny. After Marcel's speech, I had to do something to try to level the playing field here. Excellent job. Excellent job. It's awkward, though, because most of my speech was also about Greek mythology, so now I don't know what to talk about. So I had about 2 hours of prepared remarks. I'll cut that down to about an hour and 45 minutes for you. But good morning again. My name is Nick Demmel, and I'm the Commissioner of Corrections for the state of Vermont. It's an honor to be here, and I love joining these graduation ceremonies every 8 weeks or so because we get an opportunity to celebrate something really special. And while there are a lot of accomplishments and corrections on a daily basis, we're often not celebrating them. We're often dealing with the crisis of the day, or in this case, the crisis of the week, for those who've been reading the news. But I want to start by sharing just an important takeaway. For the folks in the 182nd class, you're uniquely positioned to go out and have major change, be real change makers in our department. And I want us to hold on to that for the balance of my time with you today and as you go out into your careers. And it's because as you leave here, you will become the folks closest to the work, closest to what we seek to accomplish. And after the last 6 weeks, and with the natural talents that you brought to the job, we know that you're now equipped with the skills and the grit and the determination to lead us on those front lines, to shape our facilities, to uplift our colleagues, and importantly, to change the course of people's lives. So now I have about an hour and 40 minutes left. That was the big takeaway, so if you want to check out, it's okay. But for those who stay with me, I've got a couple other things to say. I'd like to tell you why I believe this so strongly, why this is such a place for change and impact, the things that drew me into this role. I started this job about 3.5 years ago with no background in corrections. So I think, like many who are here, this was my first exposure to this work. I'm a lawyer by education. I hope you won't hold that against me. And before becoming commissioner, I was an intelligence officer for the Central Intelligence Agency. I worked in the clandestine service. I worked for the director of CIA for a while. I served in Afghanistan, amongst a couple of other places. When I was in Afghanistan, we had this saying, on this piece of paper, it says a motivational saying. I don't know if that's quite right. But we had this saying that we would say once in a while, about 800 times a day. And that was, you need to embrace the chaos. Meaning, we can't control the environment around us. We can't control the things that are bigger than what is in our immediate orbit. And so when you can get through that, you can see that there is actually opportunity for major change. In this line of work, you're often working long hours, unpredictable times. You work in dangerous situations. You're exposed to realities that most people can't imagine. Everything about this work is unconventional. And yet, in these moments where it's seemingly out of control, the whole world is changing around you quickly, there's real opportunity for change. Some might say this is familiar in other emergency response jobs. It's familiar in corrections. It was familiar for me and my colleagues overseas. Over the last 6 weeks, we've tried to train you to learn the fundamentals of the profession, to face scenarios that reflect the real world, some of which you will certainly encounter on this job. We've trained you to overcome challenges and build those foundational skills that will ultimately be invaluable in your careers. And we gave that to you in the hopes that you'll go out and have really impactful careers. So come Monday, when you return to your facilities and your field offices, that foundation becomes your lifeline. You will rely on that training. Your body will react without your mind knowing what it's doing. You see, in the corrections space, it is like no other. It's its own ecosystem. It's one where you work closely every day with the very people you're entrusted to serve, to keep incarcerated. Everything, every dynamic, every challenge is in one concentrated space. It all happens in a finite area. And the stakes in this job are high, very high, every day. It is not episodic, it is every day. But it's exactly these conditions that allow for big, meaningful change. And in Vermont, we're working hard to make these environments better, not just for those in our care and custody, but importantly, for our people. We're doing this by creating rewarding career opportunities, by investing in professional development and personal wellness, by recognizing that our staff are human beings with human needs, and they need support in their whole life, not just their life behind our walls. Because each of you are true change agents of this department, we want to invest in that, to cultivate that, and to be there with you on this entire journey. Your proximity to the work, to the people that we serve, makes you best equipped to materially change their lives. And in doing so, you change communities. It starts small and it grows. This closeness and perspective gives you a rare type of influence. You're not just officers of our department. You're leaders, your mentors, your guides, your teachers, your therapists. You're the linchpin of a system that operates on the principles of rehabilitation and of justice. One that must always remember its highest duty, to ensure that those who are incarcerated have the opportunity to re-enter society as productive, redeemed individuals. And what you're undertaking is not just a job, but it's a calling. One that demands the very best of your character, of your resolve, and of your compassion. This is an immense responsibility. And there will be moments of difficulty, I promise. There'll be moments when it may seem like the challenges are insurmountable, or when you feel that the weight of the responsibility is simply too much to bear, like the boulder going up the mountain. But remember, we're not doing this work alone. Vermont is leading this change. We're bringing in communities into our correctional facilities and creating bridges to pull the best community resources into our facilities for our staff and for those who we serve. You've heard about some of these efforts over the last several weeks, from our peer recovery partnerships with the Turning Point Centers to free higher education through the Community College of Vermont. In partnership with these entities, we're preparing those who we serve to reenter society as better members of our community, better colleagues, family members, neighbors, and friends. And in those moments, remember, you're chosen for this role because you're capable of handling these demands. You're selected because you demonstrated the qualities we're looking for, qualities of resilience, of courage, of wisdom, and together, as one team, with one mission and one shared set of principles, we can create safety and equity by seeing the potential, supporting change, and serving our communities. To our family and friends, and those who couldn't join us today, you should be proud of what these graduates have accomplished over the last 6 weeks. The men and women sitting over here are true public servants, and they will need your love and your care and your support more now than ever. I know what it means to serve in really difficult situations, and in those situations, in those moments, those toughest moments, you turn to your family and your friends, that support network first. And so I'd encourage you to please support them through this journey. Love them as you have to this point, because they will need it now more than ever as they take on the immense responsibilities that we just discussed. And graduates, remember this: you will shape the future, not just of the individuals you serve, but of the system itself. Every action you take, every word you speak, every decision you make can move the needle towards a more just, a more humane, a more rehabilitative system. Or it can move the needle away from that. So as you walk into this next chapter, remember you're not just walking onto the job, you're walking on to an opportunity to be a force for positive change. And we welcome you there. Congratulations, and thank you for joining the Department of Corrections.
Thank you, Commissioner. We would now like to begin the certificate presentation, which will be followed by the professional oath. Jamina Alexi. If you'd like to come up and take pictures, feel free to come up and take pictures of your graduates as well. Brooke Barrows. Cody Bassett. Colby Brown. Joshua Colby. Isaiah Cook. Michelle Coda. Charles Dolph. Maxwell Drake. Jack Evans. Casey Evans. Brian Black. Julia Flanders. Lila Parrott. Avery Harris. Benjamin Hawley. Kimberly Polk. Christopher Howe. Sean LaBerre. Aaron McGinnis. Krista Meyer. Camille Noel. Brock Quallen. Cody Rich. Danielle Sill. Fletcher Sordiff. Brian Stuckey. Alexis Tapp. Angel Torres. Christopher Vanderhoek. Jason Voorhees. Troy Wall. Marcel Wilkinson.
Group attention.
I state your name.
I, Lyndonville,
Acknowledge this oath and the badge of my profession.
acknowledge this oath and the badge of my profession
As symbols of the public trust in my ability and commitment
as symbols of the public trust in my ability and commitment
to provide for the public safety as a professional correctional officer.
to provide for the public safety as a professional correctional officer.
I agree to maintain the highest ethical standards
I agree to maintain the highest ethical standards
and serve the Vermont Department of Corrections to the best of my ability.
and serve the Vermont Department of Corrections to the best of my ability.
I freely accept this responsibility
I freely accept this responsibility
and swear to uphold the humanitarian and legal principles
and swear to uphold the humanitarian and legal principles
of the corrections profession throughout my career.
of the corrections profession throughout my career.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would please stand if you are able, we'll begin our class procession.
heel, step, retreat, close. Ready, step, left, facing, forward, march, forward, march.
This concludes our ceremony. You're welcome to stay for refreshments outside. We immediately will be taking pictures up front with the whole class, followed by a Q&A session with the commissioner in the rear of the room, so anyone is welcome to stay and have those conversations. Congratulations to the 182nd Vermont Correctional Academy.